So here is Fledge at the Mustang Open Show, and we are competing in the dressage class. Again, this is a really great opportunity because we can compete our Mustangs in several different classes to really show their versatility. So we come in pretty straight, but then he gets a little wiggly coming out of the halt. He's straight again, tracking right. And Fledge is a good example. He's only 14 hands and I'm 5'8", so he's the type of a horse that really carries himself and presents himself really big, so it doesn't necessarily feel like you're riding a small horse. He is in fact a pretty big mover and pretty springy through the trot, so it's really nice to get to show his gaits off. And then working on getting him into the corners, making sure I keep the energy from behind. And he's always so willing, so sometimes you have to be a little careful with him because he tries really, really hard. So sometimes just the slightest change in balance and he thinks he needs to do a transition for you, which is great. That makes him super fun to ride. Now we go into our canter transition, which is very nice and smooth. Making sure he canters has a nice uphill jump to it, which he does. If anything, he can open a little bit more through the throat latch. Sometimes he likes to go a little bit behind the vertical on me. And then to the transition to the trot. And now we do a stretch trot. She was very willing to do. You really want the horse to take the contact and stretch down over their back. And then also you're judged on the transition on picking up the reins, which he does that very smoothly. And down into our walk transition was a little abrupt. Again, if anything, he loves stopping is one of his favorite things to do. So now working on getting that walk to overstep. Still have to work a little bit more on him taking the bit a little bit. He sometimes will hide. And then he has no problem doing that for the free walk. But again, I have to kind of keep his attention. And then picking him back up into a working walk, medium walk. And trot at sea. It's maybe a smidge late for that. And again with our 20-meter circle at E. He just got a little distracted there. So I had to try to keep his focus. Again, he's always a pleasure to ride. A little half halt for my corners. Straight through the short side. Really can get into my corners. It's really nice to have the rideability. Now we go across the diagonal. I'm going to do a little half halt to rebalance. And then I go into my sitting trot so I can do the canter transition. I had to be a little careful. He kind of thought a couple of passage steps, so then that's why he jumped into the canter. So it wasn't quite as smooth as our previous. Now we do our 20-meter. So again, very nice and comfortable to ride, pretty smooth for the canter. And then I come into my sitting trot. Again, this test you can do sitting or rising, but because I'm coming down the center line to the halt, I decided to sit. And we got the square halt. He was a very good boy. I was very happy with him. Pleased with that test. So then we switched tack and headed out to the cross-country field to do the trail class. Now, that little black ring caused horses a whole heap of trouble. So Fledge did a really good job of he peeked at it, but he was willing to go in it. And now we head to the cowboy curtain, which he finds no problems about. And then we head to the black and white checkerboard, which I think he is kind of like, that's not supposed to be out here. So he questions this probably the most, but he's still really willing to go forward for me. And now you can barely see it, but there's a box that we're supposed to do a halt and then a pivot. And you'll see the bugs were actually pretty bad out here. The horses were getting a little frustrated. Even though it was breezy, the gnats and the bugs were horrible. So then we had to go jump down a bank and then jump up a bank. He did that really well. I just love this little horse. He's so willing to kind of do anything I ask him to do. And he's always a fun ride. Now we head to the water obstacle. He doesn't care. He just, I think, wants to get a drink probably. Or roll. I make sure to keep him going forward. And now we head to the last obstacle, which was picking up a flag. And again, that caused a lot of problems for horses because it was pretty windy. But Fledge has a lot of experience. He's carried the flag lots of times, so this was not a problem. He side passed right over to it. Let me pick up the flag. And again, he's such a good horse. We were supposed to go and trot around this obstacle and then replace the flag. And we actually placed pretty well. This was a really big class, so I think we placed like 6th out of a good number of horses. So really pleased with the run. It's really smooth and really fun. So now another class we were able to do was the ranch. And yes, I know, I'm wearing English stuff and wearing a Western saddle. But my point is that if you have a good trained horse, it doesn't matter what saddle they have on. So for me, I really enjoy kind of doing the different things with my Mustangs, and it's been a really fun experience. So now we come into the ranch class, and we have kind of a set pattern. So we're supposed to come in and walk, and then pick up our trot. And then as soon as we turn the corner, show a lengthening of the trot. And then another transition down to a slower trot. So now then we come into our halt. And then we do our pivot. 360 degrees one way. Does that pretty well. And then our pivot the other way. It gets a little past it, but now we're supposed to pick up the left lead. Does that really well. And then we come down this long side, supposed to show a lengthening of the canter. And as we come to the turn, make a transition to a slower canter. And as we turn down the center, a change of the lead, and that could be a simple change or a flying change. For Fledgy, he is better at the simple changes, so meaning he does a canter trot canter. And then we come back down to the trot. It was a little bit of an abrupt transition, but another lengthening trot. And then another transition to the slower trot. And then we come into our stop. Again, super proud of Fledgy. He is super solid in so many different divisions. He's just such a fun little horse.